Welcome to our next episode of Two Guys Discussing Russia Over Pastries. And today our special guest is Greame Robertson, from professor at North Carolina University. And the question we raised today is agreeableness of population the key for the survival of current regime in Russia? And as usual, we ask our guest to state his position first. Please, Greame.
Well, thank you for inviting me. This is a lot of fun to be on the show. The way I think about this is in terms of there's been a lot of work over the years on what makes authoritarian regimes work. And sometimes they talk about the security apparatus, and sometimes it's about big businessmen, and sometimes it's about the support of labor unions and organizations. But one thing that we've known for a long time since the communist period is that one of the big features is to have a population that's willing to acquiesce in and participate in the regime, and to sort of present the reality or the normality of the day-to-day existence of an authoritarian regime as somehow being natural and there not being an alternative. And people who are willing to agree to the status quo are a big part of what makes regimes stable. So in Russia today, you see this really clearly, and I think the first part of the Putin era, if you want to call it that, was really heavily predicated upon economic growth and the burgeoning of the economy. Those days seem to be over, at least for a while. And instead of economic growth, what we have is economic crisis, and we have a very sharp conflict in Ukraine. And so at that time in particular, what's really going to be important is to have broad mass of the population who don't see any alternative to the Putin administration, who don't see any alternative to the current system, who don't see any alternative to conflict with the West, and are willing to go along with that. And it's that agreement to go along with the direction in which the regime is pushing that's going to be really crucial. And if you think about really the main challenger to the existing regime has been up to now, it's people like Navalny, who you can call him many things, but you wouldn't think of them as being agreeable, right? And the sort of the intelligentsia and those groups that have been sort of pushing against the regime. So that's, while the large mass of the population is willing to go along with the system and not break with it, then that's really crucial.
So you think agreeableness is the key issue. What would you say about the response?
I would take a different approach because, this is a very interesting line of research because it's very unique and innovative in the sense that it brings the study of personality into our understanding of how the Russian population interacts with the state. What I think is probably more unusual about this argument is that it sort of makes the argument here that the population matters in Russian politics. And I think that's a rather unusual argument to make because it seems more likely that the authorities really control the situation. And so what's important is their ability to repress the population through the use of the police, the military, the secret police, the Federal Security Service. They're able to keep the population quiescent. So that's why you see Putin putting so much effort into controlling the media, into controlling the courts, into tracking down on civil society and non-governmental organizations. So really, what's crucial here is the ability of the state to repress the population.
Okay, in unpredictable realms of Russian politics, experts come to completely different opinions, and the only way to resolve it, the only adequate way to resolve the issue is to toss a coin, and we're flipping this Arab Emirate dirham, which has a coffee pot on one side and one dirham on the other side. So our guest chooses which is.
I never work on Russia without caffeine, so coffee pot.
So coffee pot for agreeableness would be the key. and it is not the coffee pot. So agreeableness of the population doesn't mean anything. Thank you so much.
Wasted research. Thank you for having me.